Going in 10. 3, 2, 1, go.
Sarah, welcome to the Salty Hive Experience.
Oh, thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Some of you might not know, Sarah has done a podcast before, host and non-host, so she's a pro. She's gonna make me look bad, but that's okay.
I don't think that's true at all, to be fair, but I will say I was telling Liv before we got on, I was saying I couldn't tell you the last time I wasn't you. Like, it's so much easier, in my opinion, being you, and it's like, this is the fun part. Like, I get to pull everything out of you that I want.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, now I get to be the person that gets that pulled out of, and here we are.
For sure. Yeah, it's so interesting actually. This has been such a good learning experience for me because I feel like my listening skills have gotten so much better now that I've done this because I literally just like talk and then I like sit back and listen. I'm like, you just go until
That's the hardest part when I started, because I always want to fill dead time. Like, and I'm like, oh, I have to fill that. And it's like, no, actually, like, let them have a thought and then like they will respond.
Yeah,
But like, you have to be okay in silence. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah, it's such a good learning experience.
Twiddle my
I love it.
thumbs.
Okay, let's get started.
Here we are.
So I wanted to start with who you were before you found CrossFit. Kind of what shaped you into who you are today.
Okay, that's a big one.
It is.
Because I only started CrossFit 3 years ago. So we are talking Sarah's 0 birth date to 32. That is a lot of time to cover. So I don't think
your highlights.
I don't think we need to go into major details there. I think when it comes to, I guess I kind of talk about sports because that is who I've always been. I can remember from like the first pictures of me, I'm like holding a baseball, holding a football, throwing something around our house. So sports was always a big part of my life. Started playing t-ball, like any type of ball sport, you could throw it, you could catch it, you could shoot it, like that was Sarah. And so that's kind of my upbringing, like growing up in a gym, on a field, being present in like a competitive space. And that's where I found success. It's also the space I love to be a part of the most. So growing up doing t-ball, travel ball, softball, AAU basketball, playing high school sports was kind of my jam. That's what I love to do. Went to college to play softball, so that was super fun. And then obviously went into the coaching world. So for those that don't know, I did coach college softball for 10 years, 3 different spots. I was also a strength coach at one of those spots because when you work in the D3 world, you don't have one of those. So it's like, Sarah, you're going to be the assistant softball coach. You're also going to be in charge of all football operations, and you're going to be the strength coach for the softball team. I'm like, yeah, I can do all of those things. That's totally fine.
Easy.
Yeah, no big deal. It's fine. So again, just involved in sports forever. I loved my coaching career. I loved being a part of that. Sports is what I do. It's who I am. But again, like there's always a time in everybody's life where there's a time to shift. And there was a time in my coaching career, 10 years in, where my job became a job. And I got out and I was like, I'm going to do something different. And so I started a sports ministry and I started working for my company, High Level Throwing. And I'm sure we'll talk about that later. And that's kind of my sports journey, very quick in a nutshell. Like, this is who I am. This is what I did. I've always grown up in these spaces. And it's just competitive. So I feel like when you talk about CrossFit, it's like, let's go compete and compete against ourselves.
Yeah.
So that's kind of me. Quick.
Yeah, I have so much to say. I have so many questions. Okay, let's start here. What was your favorite sport growing up? Was it always softball?
No, it was basketball. I loved basketball. That was my first love. I just wasn't as good at it. I always make the joke that I am a record holder in the state of Washington for would have been my senior year at state. I hold the record for most points with least amount of minutes played.
For basketball?
For basketball.
That's
just
amazing.
Coming off the bench, just go, go, go. All right, Sarah's done.
That's a good record to have, though.
I mean, I'm sure it's been broken at some point. But yeah, I know. I loved basketball. I loved playing. I was a point guard. I loved to pass. Loved to shoot. But at the end of the day, I was just better at softball. So it's like, at some point you have to choose. And it's like, if I want to be a college athlete and I want to pursue that as my career in college, I had to choose, and I chose softball, and it seemed to work out pretty well for me. So yeah, here we are.
So what sports did you do growing up?
I was on a swim team. That's fun.
Yes.
Played baseball before I ever played softball, actually. So I grew up playing baseball. I wasn't allowed to play football, thanks to my father. He told me that girls couldn't play football. And I'm like, I beg to differ, but that's fine. So I was the quarterback at recess. That was my gig. Throwing objects again. And then what else? Played volleyball. I was on the 7th and 8th grade A team. That was the extent of my volleyball career.
Okay.
Because I was about this height and I couldn't jump. So like that wasn't going to be the sport for me. But yeah, kind of played again, it goes back to ball sports for me, rotational sports for me. Like anything that I can grab something, again, throw it, shoot it, be present with it. And team sports. Team sports are my thing. I will say in my adult life, golf is now my sport. And that is a very individualized sport. But I love it. And again, I get to compete with it. But yeah, kind of all ball sports. To be fair.
What did you excel at in softball?
I don't know. I don't really like to say I was this amazing athlete that had all of these accolades. Like I loved the game and I loved to compete. My position was outfield. So if you're looking at an outfielder, for those who don't know baseball and softball, we say that they're fast, which I used to be fast, so that's exciting. They say they can track balls down really well, and I can track a ball down really well. And I had a really good arm. So I could throw very hard for very long distances, and I can still do that at almost 36. So that's impressive for me.
Absolutely.
And then on the offensive side of the game, I was a righty hitter. I was more of a doubles hitter, gap hitter, not a home run gal. Like to me, a home run was just kind of like a miss-hit line drive for me. But yeah, so that was kind of me. I would say, I mean, yes, did I win awards? Sure. Did I get put on all tournament teams? Sure. But I wouldn't call myself elite by any means. I just worked really hard to be the best version of myself that I could be.
I love that. And coming back to that, would you consider yourself like naturally athletic?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
I think part of that is growing up with the father that I did. He
Was he
was
big in sports?
huge. He was a college quarterback. Played sports his entire life. I grew up in sports. My grandfather, his dad, is in the Washington State Coaches Hall of Fame for football. So like sports were just what we did. It's also how we bonded. So it's like I was born and bred to be an athlete, and I excelled at that, which was great for me. I think it would have been a little bit harder if it's like, wow, Sarah really sucks at sports. Like, what are we gonna do with her? Where it like played really well to my dad and not so well to my mom, because my mom was a cheerleader, and that was never going to be me. I mean, look at me. This body is not that. I'd be like a phenomenal bass, but like that's about it. But again, it's just like that's who we were. That's who my dad was. That's who he raised me to be. And I found a way to excel at that. And it gave us a really special bond that we still have to this day.
Cool. Did your brother kind of follow similar footsteps in sporting? Like,
yes and no.
Okay.
So Tommy definitely grew up playing sports like I did. I mean, that's what we did. That's who we were. But Tommy has this like beautiful artistic side that I definitely don't have. He also has this beautiful like musical side that I definitely don't have. I swear to God, I'm tone deaf, whether people say that's the thing or not. And so he played sports up until a point. And then he chose to follow art. And so he became a model. He became an actor. And is a producer and works in Hollywood and does all of these like amazing things. But then like if we go throw a football in the backyard, like Thanksgiving, for example, like we're in the backyard at Thanksgiving, we're throwing the football. I'm like, Tommy, think you can throw it over the house? And he's like, probably. I'm like, sick. So I'm like, go to the front yard. I'm in the backyard. And he just straight spiral into my arms. I'm like, dude, still got it. He was a quarterback. Like that's who he was. He was good at it, but it wasn't his passion. Like his passion was music. His passion was the arts. And so I love him for that. And it also makes me a more well-rounded person, because that's like we can talk about other things other than what's happening on the diamond, what's happening on the field. But yeah.
I love that story so much because it's like, it kind of sounds like a story that like maybe you'd be teenagers, but like that was this year, huh?
Yeah,
like,
it was literally like last Thanksgiving.
And that's amazing. Like I love that.
We still act like we're 15,
Awesome.
and that's great. I mean, he's my built-in best friend, and it's like, let's go throw balls over the house because why not?
That's great. And he's your only sibling, is that right? Okay.
Yeah, he's my younger brother.
So I have to ask, were you just like young and just throwing stuff everywhere? Like, were you like pan, throw? but throw.
I feel like that would have to be a question my mom could answer for you. But I think when I think about the first sports I ever played, soccer was also one of them.
Okay.
And I hated running, and I got like a ball to the face like second game, and I was like, this sport's not for me. But I remember playing t-ball, so I remember like I think my parents still have my first glove. Like it's adorable.
Cute.
And just throwing things in the backyard. Like I remember doing that with my dad. It was usually a baseball. Like again, I didn't play softball until I was in 7th grade. And then usually a football because that's what we did. We were O'Briens. We play football. Hello. Yeah.
Obviously. Duh. That is so cool. When it came the time to have to pick for a sport, was it difficult for you to pick softball?
I'd say yes and no.
Okay.
I think it's a yes because I loved basketball so much. I think it's a no because I knew I was much better at softball. So it's like if there is going to be a sport that's going to carry me into being a collegiate athlete, which is what I wanted to do, it was 10 out of 10 from a higher level going to be softball.
Okay.
And so that part was an easy choice. It was like, yeah, I'm better at this and I find joy in this.
Okay.
And that's what we're going to do. And that's
So
what we
you were
did.
just pretty realistic with
Yes,
it.
100%.
Okay, cool. And then you mentioned you started a sports ministry. Can
Yes.
you please tell me,
Oh,
explain
gosh.
what that means, what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know how detailed you want to get here. How in the weeds do we want to go? So my faith has always been a very big part of my life. I will say in my adult life.
Mm-hmm.
And I started a Bible study with my kids when I worked at Texas Lutheran University. It was when people really asked like, what was your best time at TLU? And I was like, Bible study with the kids, 10 out of 10. We called it the boat.
Cool.
And so my faith was always a big piece of that. And then I kind of went from TLU to Houston. When I went to Houston, I really didn't have that faith connection. And I felt like I lost part of who I was as a coach. Moving from Houston, going to Montana, ended up being a part of FCA at the University of Montana with some coaches that were in the department with me. They're now still some of my best friends to this day. So I finally got back to that faith side of me. Like I am a daughter of the risen King and I'm also a coach, but like that one's way more important.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like, okay, COVID hits, and I think COVID hits everybody in a little bit different space. And I always said my identity was not in my job. It's not in wins and losses. It's not me being a coach. And then in COVID, I couldn't coach. I couldn't recruit. I couldn't be with my kids. I was stuck in my apartment or stuck in my office wearing a mask. And it's like, what are we doing here? Like, who are we? And so I did a ton of praying. Did a ton of hikes. I lived in Missoula, Montana at the time. It was amazing. And I kind of just started talking to God about like, I know I'm good at this thing, but I really want to pursue this thing, and I don't know how to do both. And I think the hinge point to starting the ministry was I'm gay, and FCA and AIA and any collegiate sports ministry that exists in the United States is non-affirming. So that just means that I would either have to hide who I am or denounce who I am in this very small part of my life, which is being a woman who is attracted to women, to be a part of any ministry within the college realm.
Mm-hmm.
And had a lot of conversations with a lot of different FCA leaders and AIA leaders around the country. And they were like, Sarah, we hear you and we believe your story and we hear your conviction and your passion for Christ. But unless you are willing to hide this piece of you or denounce this piece of you, there's no space for you. And I remember just kind of laughing in that conversation and being like, don't you think that's a problem? Like Jesus is really inclusive. So I just have some questions on how we got here.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was actually the FCA director at Florida. And he goes, well, what's stopping you from starting your own ministry? And I said, well, I'm a college softball coach with degrees in elementary education. There's a lot of things that are stopping me from doing this. He's like, God doesn't call the equipped, he equips the called. And I was like, oh, okay. And so that's kind of started to play in my mind of like, okay, well, you could start this. You could start an affirming sports ministry. You could do that. And again, praying to God, talking to my mentors. And this story's great. I was gonna meet one of my mentors at a bar, having a beer, and I was like, I'm gonna go hike up the mountain before, come back down, we'll grab our beer after. And I'm sitting on top of the mountain and I'm talking to God. My prayer rock is what I called it. And I'm like, God, if you want me to do this, I want you to light that bush on fire. And I'm like, really like thinking back on it, it's like, what in the world are you talking about? He's not gonna light a bush on fire. Like, what are we doing? Obviously the bush did not go on fire.
I was
come,
like,
yeah,
no way.
the bush did not come on fire. So I come down the mountain and I'm sitting down with Mike Petrino, who's now a basketball coach at Boise State. He worked with me at Montana at the time. And I was like, Mike, you're never gonna believe what I just asked God to do. And he's like, honestly, Sarah, no. And I was like, Mike, I asked him to light a bush on fire on the top of Mount Sentinel. And he goes, first, we're in a drought. Do you really think that's a good idea? And I'm like, fair. And then he looked at me straight in the eyes, and I'll never forget this. He said, Sarah, you are not going to get the physical burning bush you are looking for, but how many more burning bush conversations do you need to have before you realize that this is what you're supposed to do? And I was like, oof, gut punch, okay. And so I was like, all right, I'm gonna do this. Like, this is what I'm gonna do. But it was like, okay, how do you manage being a coach and starting a ministry? And how do you do those things? And in 2021, I always said throughout my career, if my job ever became a job, it was time for me to go, because I was never going to fake it with my kids. I was never not gonna be fully present with my kids or my staff. I was gonna give them everything that I had. And I didn't have it anymore. And I was like, okay, well, this might be the time. And I had met my boss, Austin, for high level throwing many years ago when I was still coaching in college, talking about throwing. And he had offered me a job to work with him full time in 2020. And I was like, well, I'm not ready to leave the game yet. But if I ever am, like, I'll let you know. And so I called him in 2021 and I said, hey, is the job still open? Does it still stand? And he's like, yeah, when can you start? And I'm like, okay. Well, fiscal year July 1, so July 2nd. Are we good with July 2nd? And he's like, absolutely, July 2nd. And so I was able to find a way to still coach, to still work in the world of development as far as softball is concerned. But then I also got to enter into this faith space, and I got to have small groups with athletes we did it through Zoom, to be fair, from across the country. We also did a coaches Zoom from coaches across the country and athletic directors. And then my favorite part that I did was the podcast. So I started the Completing and Competing podcast. That's what it was called. And episode 1 was me. And I think we got to episode 120 in that time span. And it was just the opportunity for athletes and coaches or people within athletics, regardless of their social status, race, sexual orientation, gender identification, like they are all loved by God. And I wanted to give them a space to talk about their stories and what has God done for you. So whether you are straight or gay or male or female, tell me your story, because that story matters. And it's kind of what you're doing here with this, like your story matters and it's important. And so I had the opportunity to open that door for people within the LGBTQ plus community to be completely honest about being gay and being Christian, and how those two things are not at odds with each other. They can blend into this beautiful space. Was it the affirming side the most important part of the ministry? Absolutely not. But it did create a space for people like myself to feel genuinely loved and included and fully known for exactly who they are. And their orientation or their gender identity had nothing to do with that relationship with God. He loved them for exactly who they were.
That's so cool.
And there you go. I'm getting off my soapbox.
That's so cool. And do you still run this ministry right now?
Yes and no. So it still exists. It's
Okay.
still there. I did take a break from the podcast. So I probably haven't done an episode in like a year. I actually have talked to multiple people in the last couple of months about bringing that back, just because I think those stories are important, and I think it's important to provide that space and within athletics, specifically collegiate athletics, because there is so much pressure on them to perform perfectly. But there is this beautiful space that says I'm completed by Him, and now I can go compete in this freedom that I don't necessarily have if I don't have Him or a relationship with a higher power in those spaces. So it's currently on pause, but TBD, we'll see.
Okay. And was it scary for you to leave your job of 10 years to start something new?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I would say no, because I was still going to be able to do what I loved, which was coach. And it's the developmental side of coaching. Now I'm much more specific in what I teach. I teach overhand throwing mechanics. I teach kids how to throw. So it's not the offensive side of the game. It's not base running. It's not like the game in its entirety. It's mainly the defensive side of it, specific to the throw. So I still get to do that. And I think, again, it's that leap of faith. It's also a space where I wasn't going to be unemployed, right? It's like, I'm not going to not have a job and not have an income and not know what I'm doing paycheck to paycheck or day to day. Like, I had that. And then it's like, now I just have this freedom of time that I have never had to go invest that time into something different, something that really fulfills not only my soul, but hopefully the souls of the people that I could connect with.
Yeah, that's super cool. So talking about that high throwing job, so that's the job that he offered you,
Yes.
and you waited a year, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna
Yeah.
take it.
Yep.
How is that going? Are you loving that job?
I love it.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
What about that job do you love?
Oh, so much. I think when I think about still being able to coach, it's like the perfect job for that because I get to travel the country and I get to travel into Canada and I get to teach kids how to throw. Like, that's my job. And when we talk about softball or baseball specifically, the defensive side is throwing and catching. Like, if you can't throw and you can't catch, you're not very good at the game. Like, that's the reality of it. When we talk about throwing specifically, like the overhand throw is arguably the most aggressive and complex movement in all of sports, using arguably the most unstable joint in the human body, which is your shoulder, your throwing side shoulder. And so that is a challenge to me. And it's also, when we're speaking to the throw within our games, it's the most undertaught skill. We just assume kids know how to throw. And it's like, well,
Interesting, because it's also the thing that happens the most in the game, right?
100%, yes.
Okay.
From the defensive side, absolutely.
Okay.
Like, we have to throw a ball to get an out, like,
Right.
unless we're going like unassisted and I can run and tag the bag. But it's just not taught. We didn't teach it. And the things that we taught to it were very linear and stagnant movements to this incredibly complex rotational blended movement. And I geek out about it. Like, I remember the first time I met my boss and we brought him in at TLU to talk to us about throwing. And he had just written an article, why wrist flicks suck. And for those who like wrist flicks, like, this is how we're going to warm up to throw. And it's like, no, we don't ever do that movement in our throw. So why are we doing it? And so the softball world just like blew up, like, oh my gosh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Like, the wrist flick and the L drill are everything we've always done. So why would we change it? And so we brought him in and he's talking to us, and all of high level throwing is based on biomechanics. Austin has a PT background. It's all based on how the body moves through position. So I'm like listening to this guy talking. I'm just like nerding out about it. I'm like, I like wholeheartedly believe everything this guy's saying. I'm not teaching any of this. And like, yes, I'm a young coach, but like, nobody's teaching this. And so I put him to the test. Like, I took one of my kids who had just graduated with us athletically, but she was getting her master's. And I called her down. I call her and I'm like, hey, Jack, bring your glove, come down the gym. And this kid was an All-American at the plate. Like, you couldn't get her out. She was phenomenal. But she also couldn't throw from center field to second base on a line to save her life. And I couldn't fix it in 4 years. And I'm like, I don't know what else to do. And this isn't like a marketing ploy to high level throwing, but I'm telling you, he had her throwing across the gym with velocity in 20 minutes that I couldn't create in 4 years. And I'm like, whatever this is, like, this is what we're doing. And so that just kind of became like my geek space of like, I am so into defense. I'm so into throwing. And I can't wait to dive into this more. And then post coaching, like, when you're coaching, you have your team, right? Or you have the kids that come to your camp, but it's not from like a national or international level to impact the game. With high level throwing, I have the ability to impact our game generationally through like realistically every state in America and parts of Canada. Like, that's where we go. And it's like, I work with 6-year-olds and I work with Team USA. And the same thing that I teach to Team USA are the same thing I teach to the 6-year-olds. Verbiage might be a little bit different, but like, we're teaching the same thing and we're moving through the same movements. And so it's like, this is amazing. Like, and again, velocity increase, not linear. Like, some kids are going to pick it up a lot faster than others. That's okay. Like, development is messy and it's a process, but to be able to be the person that shows up and is just like, I'm going to breathe life into you. We're going to do some things that you're going to be like, that lady's crazy. Why am I doing this? Promise I'm not crazy. Also, I promise high level throwing works. And here's why. And let's talk about it. And then you see these like light bulb moments for these kids of like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, I've never felt my body move this way. I've never felt my shoulder blade load in this way. And it's like, yeah, guys, blended movements of rotation and load. How cool is this? And then at the end, we always like test their velocity, and we don't care what that number is. I could care less what that number is on that day.
Right.
But when you have these kids that hit these like giant PRs, that it's like, I threw 6 miles an hour faster than I did 2 months ago. And it's like, congratulations. Like,
That's
let's
so
see where
cool.
we can go next.
That is super,
Yeah,
super
it's
cool.
awesome.
I love that.
Yeah.
What's your favorite age to coach?
Oof. I love the littles. I really do.
Really? Like how little?
Honestly, I've got some 6-year-olds that can absolutely rip, and that is fun.
That's so cool.
But I think when we think about it from like a developmental space, like I love like the 10s to the 14s.
Okay.
Because I mean, again, it's fun to go work with different college programs. Like again, 19 of the top 25 Division I softball programs in the US use us. We show up and we do it. Is it fun to work with elite athletes? 10 out of 10, because it's like I just want to tweak like 1 or 2 things.
Mm-hmm.
With the littles, or what I call them, the littles, it's like you don't really have bad patterns yet, so like we can really like mold this into something really cool. And I don't care what it looks like when you're 10. I care what it looks like when you're 16, 17, 8 years old or 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can start it at 10, imagine what it looks like then. So it's like, yes, again, development's messy. Yes, sometimes it's like herding cats, but it's like this part's fun because they also just love the game for what it is, and there's no pressure to produce. There's no pressure to go win a national championship. It's just like, I want to get really good at this one side of the game, and you can help me do that. So let's go do that. And I'm like, 10 out of 10, guys. And then I'll see you next year, and the next year, and the next year, and the next year. And it's like PR, PR, PR. Now we're bigger, older, faster, stronger. So obviously velocity also increases based on those things. But they just understand how to use their bodies. And I mean, the majority of athletes don't. So it's like, let's explore movement patterns, and let's see what it looks like at 10, then 12, then 14, then 16. And then my college coaching buddies are calling me and they're like, dude, like, who do you see? Like, what do you have here? And like, I also become like a little bit of a recruiter in that space, which allows me to do a little bit of what I was doing when I was being a
Mhm.
college softball coach.
Yeah.
But I love the littles. They're so fun.
That is so awesome. You mentioned living by this, if my job becomes a job,
Mhm.
I think I'm done with that job.
Mm-hmm.
Where did that come from, and how did you stick to that
Oh, yeah,
after 10
absolutely.
years?
I think it just comes down to passion, like for what you do. Like if you are not passionate about what you do, like your work is hard. Like I never, like I know that people say this a lot, but it's like as a college coach, I never felt like I really worked a day in my life. Yes, did I work 365 days a year in some capacity? Also, yes. But it was like I loved what I did. I loved being present with my kids. I loved watching a freshman become a senior and just being in like the shitty Tuesdays with them. And it's like, give me what you have right now. Like, and it may be 60%, but like I want that. And it's like the passion of that, the relationships that you get to build, the things you get to be a part of. Specifically to college, I mean, that's the most transformational years of their lives. And so it's like, I can't wait to be a part of that, a small piece of that, and to love you through that. But it came back to passion. Like I just loved engaging with athletes. I loved being on a staff. Like I'm a very collaborative person. So it's like I never felt like I was done learning or done growing. I think the transition piece of that, when my job became a job, I was like, oh, I don't really want to go to the office today. Like I would rather be hiking a mountain talking to God. Like I don't really want to go recruiting today. Like, and those are the things that I used to feel so much passion about and so much fire to go do. And I felt like that fire was dimming in this specific part of coaching,
Mm-hmm.
but also still very on fire in other parts of that. But again, it's also a space where I'm 5 years removed from college coaching, and I get calls all the time. Like, when are you coming back? When are you coming back to college coaching? I'm like, guys, I don't know. Like, I never said never, but I
Right.
love what I do right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm passionate about what I do right now. And as long as I'm passionate and I love what I do right now, this is what I'm going to do. But if that changes, then I get to change. And that's fun too.
That's really cool. I love that. I think it's really hard for people to leave their job after 10 years.
Mhm.
And so I think that's really like admirable of you to like stick to that.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to hate my job. I
No.
refuse to
Mhm.
hate my job. I think that is such a cool way to live.
Well, it doesn't help anybody. It
Right.
doesn't help my staff. It doesn't help my
Sure.
kids. Like, it doesn't breathe life into them. And my job is to breathe life into them. So I had to go.
I love that. Okay, we covered a lot of years just barely.
Yeah.
Let's cover the last 3. So,
CrossFit, here we come.
yes, here we come. How did you find CrossFit?
My wife, Lindsay. It's definitely Lindsay's fault that I'm here.
How
That's
did you meet Lindsay?
Lindsay and I met through a mutual friend.
Okay.
Actually, and that's another story for another time. But Lindsay, she was on the podcast whenever that was.
Mhm.
And Lindsay is the strongest woman that I know. She is a huge competitor and she loved CrossFit. And so when we were dating, I wasn't even living in Salt Lake City at the time, and I was kind of flying in and out based on work because my job is very remote. And she's like, "Hey, I want you to come to this gym with me. It's CrossFit." And I was like, "Lindsay, I've never done CrossFit in my life. I can't even do a pull-up. Like, what are we talking about? Like, I'm not doing this." She's like, "No, just come. Like, the gym's super awesome. The community's great. These people are amazing. Like, just come and try it out." And I'm like, "Okay." So like walk in and I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, this is terrifying. And now it's like literally my home away from home. Like, I was here this morning at 7 a.m. and now I'm back doing this with you. But yeah, I blame Lindsay.
I love that.
I blame Lindsay and thank Lindsay at the same time.
Right.
Because I'm so glad that I found it, but I don't think without her I ever would have walked into a CrossFit gym.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And how does CrossFit fit into your lifestyle?
CrossFit allows me to do my job. Like, that's the way I look at it. I'm not necessarily old, but I'm not necessarily young. And I ask my body to do a lot in my job. Again, we talk about throwing, most complex movement in all the sports, most unstable joint in the human body. So how can I make sure that my body is prepared for the demands that my job requires? And CrossFit does that for me. I am challenged every day in here in some capacity. I am sore in every way in some capacity, but it's like I am stronger than I've ever been at 35. I have more range of motion. I'm more mobile than I've ever been, and I'm 35. And I just get to use my body to its potential. And it also allows me to do my job. So it's like win-win for everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
And before you started CrossFit, were you doing some sort of other physical activity?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
what were you doing beforehand?
I was kind of my own personal trainer.
Okay.
So it's like, I mean, I, again, grew up in sports. I was a college athlete. I know what those workouts are. I also wrote workouts for my college kids. So it's like, I can write my own workouts. I can do that. But all of it was very based on things I was comfortable doing or things I had done in the past. And so it's like, yeah, I can go to the gym. I can go to Planet Fitness. I can go to 24-hour fitness and I can put in an hour of work, whether that's some type of dynamic warm up, move mobility, some type of lift, some type of cardio, a little bit of cool down, head out. Like, I can design that. But I, again, wasn't like pushing myself beyond what I was comfortable with. And I feel like being a part of CrossFit has pushed me in the best ways to spaces I didn't think I could go, to be like, oh, I actually can do that. That's kind of fun.
That's so
Yeah.
cool. Have you ever found yourself, so you've always been active.
Mhm.
Have you ever found yourself in a rut? Like,
Ooh, okay. Yeah, actually, I think post playing in college was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to walk into a gym. I don't want to walk on a field. Like, I just want to like be a normal human. And then again, that lasted for like maybe a month, and it's like, no, I feel gross. Like, I'm not moving anymore. I feel very stagnant. I don't like the way that I look. And I want to do something about that. So then I'm back in the gym. But there obviously are spaces and times where it's like, yeah, I didn't want to do that. Or like, did I really want to wake up and go to the 5 a.m. class? No, not really. But like, that's the time you have. So that's what you're going to do. And you're going to show up and do it. And I think
For
that's,
sure.
again, the athletic competitive side of you to be like, yeah, no days off.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've seen it be hard to go from like, okay, I'm in this sport. I
Mhm.
work out because I do this sport and I come with my team and it's required and it's scheduled.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden one day, boom, you're done.
Yep.
And you're like, wait, what do I do?
And why am I'm in charge now? I don't,
Right.
somebody told me what to do. Like, I don't want to be in charge.
Yeah,
Like, they're in
exactly.
charge.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super interesting. You mentioned this being your home away from home. So
Mhm.
what does having a community mean to you?
This is probably my favorite part about the gym is the community piece. And coaches always talk about it in like our talk of day, whatever of the week, like what's our theme? And it's like community comes first. So yeah, I could write my own workout. I can do that. But it's like I met my best friends in Salt Lake City here. Like the people that I hang out with outside of the gym are still the gym people.
Mhm.
Like they are my best friends. We do everything together. We host each other's birthdays. We do Christmas. We do Friendsgiving. Like we do everything in this community space. It also makes working out easier because it's like if I'm the only person doing the workout, how hard am I going to push myself? Probably not that much. But if I'm in here and I'm working next to whoever it is, it's like I'm not necessarily comparing myself to that person, but like we're in the suck together. So it's like, dude, we got this. High fives. Hey, I believe in you, Sab. Let's go. Like, Linz, I love you. Keep pushing. So it allows you to push yourself further than you thought that you could. And it gives you your best friends. So
Yeah.
everybody wins.
It's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
You're fit and your friends. It's cool.
The two F's.
Yeah.
This friendship done.
That's perfect. I want to talk about, so you have a coaching background and yet you are open to coming in here and also being coached. So have you found any similarities from you being the coach to you being coached in here? And I guess like the different coaching styles.
Absolutely. I think what I always used to say this to my kids, like I think I'm a great coach, but I'm not a great coach for everybody. And so it's like there are certain characteristics that I have that can pull certain things out of certain athletes. It also can, I mean, unintentionally shut those athletes down. And so I think coaching is teaching. My degrees are in teaching. So it's differentiating your instruction to what your athlete needs. Like the coaches here, like we are their athletes. So it's like, you gave me that question. So I was actually thinking about it, like really prodding through this. And it's like, I think every coach brings something different to the table. I look at from a broad perspective, like if it's identifying with me, I look at like our female coaches. And it's like, I believe that powerful women empower powerful women. So it's like to see a woman leading our class, or like, again, as a coach, I'm leading our team, or I'm leading my sessions for my job. Like if I can see her, I can be her from a younger child perspective. So I think seeing women lead is freaking awesome to me. Big picture. And then it's like, okay, let's take it to like individuals. Like I think about Swest or Samantha. And it's like Samantha is so in tune with like how the body should move. And so it's like she would challenge me more than anything on the depth of my squat, right? It's like depth, not that great. We're getting a lot better.
Yeah,
I'm really
like,
proud of us
it's
for that.
getting there.
We go. But she was always giving me like cues or tips or pointers like, hey, like really think about rotating your hips out, like push your knees out. So it's like very intentional about what she's doing, and it's from like a micro level. So it's like there's 16 other people in this class, but like she can go over and be like, hey, let's work on these things. And that reminds me of my job, because it's like I have a group of 16 to 20 athletes, and so you're watching all the athletes, but then it's like, oh, there's this one thing that we can tweak on this one athlete, and now all of a sudden they're moving a little bit more, their range of motion is expanded, and like that's awesome. And then I look at like Justin, and like Justin is like, he's part owner of the gym. It's him and Trish, right? It's their gym. And he's tough, right? And he's going to push your limits, and he knows that this is going to make you uncomfortable, and he doesn't care in the best way. Also me, like I see your potential, so I'm not going to let you sit here. Like I remember my first open, and it's like I didn't have pull-ups. Like I don't have pull-ups. I can't do that. And he's like, well, do like a frog kick. And I'm like, yeah, no, but can I like swing my legs and like try to get over? He's like, so you want to do a kipping pull-up? I'm like, yeah, sure, if that's what it's called. And then all of a sudden I'm doing kipping pull-ups. It's like, what the heck? But it's like, he's just pushing you. Right. And then I look at you, Liv, or Ricky, or Trish. And again, going back to like the female brain, and like we want to empower each other. We want to lift each other up. But there's also an energy to that. It's like you walk in and there's a different energy. Like there is a hype woman that's behind you that's going to push you. And it's like, that was also me. Like I want to be your hype woman. Like I know what your potential is, and I'm going to use my voice, inflection, and energy to be like, I believe in you and you can do this. And that's what you get from you guys. So it's like there's all like pieces of everybody that you see that's like, oh, I love that. Like, oh, there, yeah, that's it. Like there it is. But it's like that's coaching. It's like taking little pieces of everything, blending it to making it your own. And then how do I get the best out of my athletes? And I think you all do that in some capacity in different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very cool. Have you learned anything from CrossFit that directly you can put into your softball training?
Yeah. I think when I talk about like my current job of high level throwing, when I was really like, okay, well, how is CrossFit working into high level throwing? And the way I really looked at it was from like the dynamic warm up, like the movement mobility, the patterning pieces. Again, so it's like, how are we preparing our bodies for the demands of the gym? How are we preparing our bodies for the demands of the throw, for the demands of defense? So it's realistically like those pieces that we do in the beginning, whether that's inchworms or lunging or rotating in a lunge or engaging our shoulders, internal, external rotation. Like those are all things that I do too, like in my job. And then we can translate that into the throw. But it's like if the body is not prepared, the body cannot perform. And so it's like if the body is not prepared, the body cannot also perform in the gym. So it's like I look at those things and it's like, yeah, dynamic warm up, movement mobility, like grooving the joints, letting the body move to prepare the body for what it needs to be able to do.
That's a great way to like describe that warm up. Like we're not just like throwing random stuff in there to like fill time, right?
Absolutely not.
I think we would need to go into more depth about your coaching. So how did your passion for coaching begin?
My grandpa's actually. So again, I mentioned my grandpa Tom earlier, my dad's dad, Hall of Fame football coach. So grew up in that. My grandpa Richard was also a coach. He was a swim coach. He was a wrestling coach. So I swam, but not very good. And I never wrestled. So I don't know if we can necessarily say that like that part. I also never technically played football. But I watched them lead groups of people. So like I remember specifically with my grandpa Tom, I remember like going to his football games. I remember like being on the bus at halftime and he's like, "You're so lucky that my grandkids are here. You don't want to know what's going to come out of my mouth." And I'm like, actually, I kind of want to know. Like, this sounds fun.
This is fun.
Yeah, exactly. So I got to see them lead people and I got to watch them build teams and camaraderie and culture and community within those spaces. And it's like, that looks really cool to do. I also loved sports. So it's like, I love sports. I wasn't going to be a coach. I was going to be an elementary school teacher. To be fair, that's what my degrees are in. And then I had the opportunity to coach softball. And I was like, well, I love the game. I don't really necessarily want to get rid of the game yet. So I'm going to go do this. I also have watched brilliant coaches in my realm, in my sphere of influence, and had really good coaches in my sphere of influence who like breathed life into me to, again, what's my highest potential? And it's like, well, I want to do that. Like, that sounds pretty cool. And I had the opportunity to do it literally right after I graduated from college. So I literally went from being an athlete to being a coach. 21 years old. And it never stopped. But it just came back to, I saw it my entire life. I saw the connection that those individuals were able to build with other people or with myself or for myself. And I was like, that seems like a pretty freaking cool job to do. And that's what I did.
That's awesome. That's so cool. People that I've noticed like have coaches that have really impacted them and that makes them want to be a coach. I feel like that is the passion and that like brings it. So do you have a coach like that you like can pinpoint that like, oh, that coach had like a huge impact on me?
My assistant coach at the University of the Incarnate Word, where I played college softball, Jess Clack, she was amazing for me. She breathed life into me and challenged me in a way that I had never been challenged, but not in a way of like degrading me or beating me down. It was like, here's the standard. Here's where I see you. We're never going to drop below the standard, but we're going to get here. And I used to say this to my kids every day, like, I'm going to make you fail every day. Because the ball that beats you today is going to beat you tomorrow. And the ball that beats you tomorrow is going to beat you the next day. And that was kind of Jess's mentality as well. It's like, I am going to push your limits every day. You will fail every day, but I'm not going to leave you there. And I'm going to love you through it. And I'm going to walk with you in it because I see your potential and I know where we're going. And I think the other piece of that is she just loved us so intentionally well. And that's the piece to me that matters the most is like, I was at a job interview actually for Montana, and my boss asked me, if your former players could say anything about you, what would you want them to say? And I said that they were so incredibly loved. And she looked at me and she's like, what? And I'm like, that they were loved. I was like, I can make a good softball player, a great softball player. I'm not worried about that. But if they don't know they're loved, I didn't do my job. Like I call my fridge, like that's my trophy case. It's like I have baby announcements on my fridge. I have wedding announcements on my fridge from my former kids. And it's like those are the trophies that matter to me. Like I am so glad that they bought in to the love that I gave them. And it wasn't easy. And I pushed them every day, but I was going to love them through that. And coaching is for a lifetime. I was actually talking to one of my former athletes yesterday. She just lost someone in her life that was very significant. And I just texted her and I was like, I love you. Like, how are you doing? Let's like talk through this. And I mean, I coached her 8 years ago. And it's like, that's the stuff that matters. Like, again, I can make you good. That's not hard. Like, this is a skill set. This is how I'm going to push you. This is how we're going to get it done. And it works. But it's like, did I love them well? Did I push them to help them create and see their potential? Did they reach that and then exceed that? Yes, but I do it in love. And that was the goal.
I love that so much. And I also believe that you can be the best coach in the world, and if you don't love and care, you're not going to get the best results from that athlete.
Absolutely.
They have to know that you care about them and love them, and like quite frankly, just give a shit about them.
Yeah,
like
10 out of 10.
People will do and want to do things for people that care and love them.
Like, I can't ask you to run through a wall for me if you don't trust me. If you don't know that I trust you and that I love you. I always used to tell my kids, believe in yourself like I believe in you, and you will always be successful. And it's like, that's the belief I need you to have. Like, I see it. And on days you don't, put me in your head, because we're still going to get there. It might be a little harder for you because I'm still going to show up and I'm still going to tell you I love you. And like, that's another thing. I told my kids I loved them every day. And like with my freshmen, like I didn't really know them. Like I recruited them for sure. But it's like, they walk to practice. I'm like, I still love you. And they're like, what? I said, I still love you. And they're like, I don't understand. I'm like, you will. You will.
You'll feel it.
You'll feel it. And it's like, that's even at the gym. I'm like, I tell everybody, I'm like, I love you. So love you. And they're like, what? And I'm like, Swest hates hugs. Like really doesn't love in the space of platonic me loving you and hugging you. But we're getting better. Like we are thriving in that space. And now I'm like, Swest, come here. And we got a hug. And I'm like, I love you. She's like, love you. I'm like, yes, we're moving in the right direction. Because I think that's what people need more than anything. Whether that's your friendships, whether that's your relationships, whether that's your kids, whether that's your coworkers, your athletes, whatever that is, they need to feel loved.
Absolutely.
And that's the point.
That's so funny, that story with Samantha. One time she like hugged me, I think after either a tough workout or at a comp or something like that. Like she hugged me really tight, and Mega was like, she hasn't hugged me in years. Like she's deprived of love from Samantha. It's so funny. That's hilarious.
Amazing.
You kept bringing up the phrase breathe life into you. I want you to go in depth with that. Explain what that means. How do you do that?
Okay. I think it just comes back to I see you and I love you and I want what's best for you. And I'm going to affirm you. And I'm going to tell you, not that you're great because you're not, but you're great because I see potential in you. And so it's like every day that my athletes are showing up on the field or in a clinic, like I want them to walk away feeling like they could conquer the world. And it's like, how do I do that? I have to affirm you. Like, great job. Like, you crushed that. Did you feel a difference there? Like, that was so much better. Oh my gosh, like, look at the progress that we're making. And it's not this product. It's just like breathing life. Like, genuinely, I'm like, here is all of my energy that I'm going to give you, all of my belief, and I'm going to give that to you. And then let's see where that goes. Because the more that we believe in other people, the more they will believe in themselves. If all we do is break people down, it's like, well, you said that I suck. You said that I can't do this. You said that I'm not good enough, blah, 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 whatever that is. And it's like, I'm going to start believing that. Or if I can look at you and say that you are loved and gifted and chosen and here for a purpose, and that purpose is to succeed, whether that's on the field or in your life or in your relationships, like, I believe in you. Breathe life. And it's like, oh, well, Coach OB said that. So like, maybe it's true. And it's like, and the more I can tell you that, and the more I can tell you that over and over and over again, hopefully some of it starts to stick. And it's like, well, Coach said I could do it, so I can do it. And it's like, yeah, you can. But if all I'm going to do is say, no, you can't. Like, again, goes back to Justin and pull-ups. It's like, well, I can't do that. Well, he's like, yeah, I know. I know you don't have that. I know you don't have it in the tank. And he's like, no, try this. No, you can do this. No, you have this. And then all of a sudden we have pull-ups. My body didn't change. I didn't somehow get stronger in 5 seconds. Like, I had somebody who believed in me. I had somebody who breathed life into me. And now it's like, well, maybe I can if I try. And all of a sudden there was a pull-up. And I'm like, what a time.
What a day. You said the word genuinely, and I want to like emphasize that because yeah, a coach could be like, yeah, you can do it.
Mhm.
But like the way you were even just describing it just barely, I was like lifted up. I was like, I think she just breathed life into me.
I can
Like,
do this.
you know, it's
Yeah.
it's that honesty.
Mhm.
It's being genuine about it. Like you actually believe in that
Mhm.
person. Like
Yes.
you're not telling someone that's back squatting 150 for their max, like, yeah, I think you could do 300 in like a month, right? Like
No.
that's not genuine. That's not true. Like
Mhm.
the way that you were like, you genuinely believe in them,
Mhm.
you have to be genuine so that they believe it. And
Yeah.
then when they start believing it, they start breathing life into you.
Mhm.
And then you're just like,
Here we are.
Bring
Let's
it-
do this
there's
thing.
so much life.
Yeah. So much life. I love that.
So that's so
Mhm.
cool. I love that how you phrase that. Okay, we're gonna play a game now.
Oh,
and
I
you
love
didn't
games.
Get these questions
Oh, okay.
prior. So
Here we go.
you guys might not have known, but Sarah was the most improved in the open. Was it last year?
Yes.
Last year, she was the most improved. So year number 2
Mhm.
was last year.
Yes.
Okay, so this is going to be your third open.
Yes.
Sign up.
I know
today.
I need to do that.
Okay.
It opened today.
Yes, it
Yes.
opened today.
Okay,
So sign
perfect.
up.
Love that.
Okay, cool. So we're going to talk about some of your journey and
Mm.
why you became the most improved and all those things. Okay. So
Because I set a really low bar that was really easy to get over. No, just kidding.
when did you start CrossFit? Like what month?
I don't know. October.
October. So
Yeah.
you were like
I was
right before the open.
Yeah.
So you were doing CrossFit for like 4 or 5 months
Mhm.
before the open
Yeah.
started. Okay. That's really fun.
Yeah.
Okay. What was the hardest movement for you to learn when you first started?
Oh, I'm still there. Still double unders.
Okay.
But we're finally stringing some things together.
Heck yeah.
So I really like that. That was my first open I didn't have dubs. And so I actually had David as my judge. And I was like, dude, I don't have these. And he's like, all right, well, we're just going to keep trying.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to be here. We
Did
got
you
time.
get any?
I think I got 3.
Oh,
And I
that's
was like,
good.
got it. And he was like, yeah, like again, breathing life. Like every time he's like, that was almost there. That was almost there. You got one. Then it's like, you got one. And
That's
it's like, yes, there it is.
I love that.
Definitely the dub.
And what is your favorite movement now?
Ooh. Favorite CrossFit movement. I love a good deadlift.
Oh, really?
I do love a good
Dude, you
deadlift.
crushed that deadlift this year. You were so strong.
I
this
do
year.
love a good dead.
That's awesome. And what do you think is your biggest improvement from when you first started?
Pull-ups.
Pull-ups, movement in general. That's
Yes.
the movement. Okay.
Because when I was in college, obviously structural issues in my throwing side shoulder because I've thrown for 30 years.
Mhm.
In my left side shoulder, my glove side shoulder, I actually ran that into a wall trying to make a catch in college. And so I actually have like slight structural damage in this shoulder. And so pull-ups have always been hard for me because I literally just like lock out like from a strict, and I like that happened for years. Even when I was in college, never had a pull-up. Like I always had to have a band. And so showing up here is like I'm still doing banded pull-ups. We're still here. We're still moving through it. And now I have chest to bar. Like, what are we talking about? Like yesterday, I was telling Linz in our workout, like I strung 10 pull-ups together, and I'm like, this is crazy. Like 3 years ago, I couldn't do 1 unassisted, and now I can do like kipping wise. Obviously, they're a little bit easier, so it's like yeah, I can string them together. But like I have. What was the last time we tested? I think I have 3 strict pull-ups, and I was like, I couldn't even get the chin over the bar 3 years ago, and now we have 3 strict.
Right.
So it's like this is insane.
That's so cool to
Yeah.
hear because you're like, even when I was like in my peak,
Yeah.
like athletic wise,
Yeah.
you weren't able to do a pull-up because of that
Yeah.
mobility.
Mhm.
So it's kind of cool that like coming into CrossFit and moving your joints in
Yeah.
different ways and
Mhm.
like gaining strength in different muscles
Yep.
and all those things, you're able to get a
Literally.
pull-up.
Amazing.
That's awesome.
10 out of 10.
Okay, to wrap this up, if you were to give some words of wisdom or a Sarah mantra or like some words that you try to live by, what would that be?
Oof. I always say that for me, like my ultimate goal in life is to love people well. Like that is what I believe I was put on this earth to do. I don't know if that necessarily reflects to CrossFit, but that is me. Like I just want to love people well. And so I think that would be my challenge is to love people well. Like whether that is when you're in a gym space and you are just loving someone through a really tough workout, or from a personal space, again, one of your friends or your partner, whoever that is going through something hard, like love them through that because it's our job. Like again, faith is a big piece to me. Like God so loved the world, he gave his only son. That's why I say I so love you. Because if God so loves me, if Jesus so loves me and so loves you, I don't have another choice than to do that too. And it's like the more love and life that we can breathe into whatever sphere of influence that we have, whatever space we walk into, imagine what this world would look like. And I think it would be a lot less divided and a lot more fun to be around if we just loved each other well.
Mic drop. That was so great. Thank you so much for coming on. That was such a great conversation.
Yeah.
I literally feel rejuvenated. I feel like I have been brought to life. So thank you.
Absolutely.
No,